I'm 83 years old, and I'm about to tell you something about marriage that might completely change how you see your own relationship. My wife Martha passed away 6 months ago after 52 years together, and what she told me in her final hours has been eating at me every single day since. I thought I knew everything about her, about us, about what made our marriage work, but I was living a lie that most married people never discover until it's far too late. For 5 decades, I believed I was a good husband because I provided, stayed faithful, and showed up every day. I worked hard to give Martha a comfortable life, never missed an anniversary, and thought that was enough. Everyone told me I was doing marriage right, and I believed them. I thought the secret to a lasting marriage was consistency, reliability, and keeping your promises. I was so proud of our 52 years together, so convinced I had figured it all out. Then came that humid Tuesday morning in July when Martha collapsed in our kitchen. The stroke hit her hard, and within hours the doctors were telling me to prepare for the worst. I sat beside her hospital bed, holding her trembling hand, watching machines track what little life remained in the woman I had spent most of my existence with. She could barely speak, her words came out slurred and broken, but she was desperately trying to tell me something. I leaned close, and what I heard in those fragile whispers shattered every assumption I had built my life around. She told me she had been lonely for 30 years, not 5 or 10, but 3 entire decades of feeling alone while I slept beside her every single night. She said I was there but never really present, that I had stopped seeing her somewhere around our 20th anniversary and never started again. The Martha I thought I knew, the woman who smiled at dinner and never complained, had been disappearing inside herself for longer than some marriages even lasted. She told me she loved me, but that she had missed me terribly even though I never went anywhere. Here's the terrible truth nobody admits about marriage. We think that staying together means we're doing it right. We think that not cheating, not yelling, not leaving, is the same thing as loving well. Society teaches us that a successful marriage is measured in years, in anniversaries celebrated, in the absence of divorce papers. I bought that lie completely, wrapped my entire identity around it, and cost myself 3 decades of truly knowing the woman I claimed to love more than anything. I spent 30 years coming home from work, sitting in my recliner, and reading the newspaper while Martha moved around the house like a ghost. I spent 30 years eating dinners she prepared while thinking about projects at work or things I needed to fix in the garage. I spent 30 years lying next to her in bed, both of us staring at different walls in the darkness, and I thought we were fine because we weren't fighting. I thought silence meant peace, but silence was slowly killing her from the inside out. When she tried to talk to me about her day, I would give her half my attention while the television played, or while I scrolled through my phone. When she suggested we take a weekend trip somewhere, I would say maybe next month because I was always too busy, too tired, too focused on things that didn't matter at all. The week before her stroke, Martha had asked me if I remembered the little coffee shop where we had our first date. I barely looked up from my computer and said something like, "Sure, honey," without actually answering her question or asking why she brought it up. She had been trying to tell me she wanted to go back there with me, and wanted to recreate that moment when I actually listened to every word she said, when her stories were the most interesting things in my world. But I was too distracted by an email that I can't even remember now to give her what she needed. That coffee shop closed 2 months ago, and we will never go back there together. What actually matters is so embarrassingly simple that I'm ashamed I missed it for so long. What matters is looking at your spouse when they talk to you, really looking, and putting down whatever device or distraction is in your hands. What matters is asking about their day and genuinely caring about the answer, even if they're telling you about something small like a conversation with the neighbor or a recipe they want to try. What matters is touching them when you walk past, not sexually or with any agenda, just a hand on their shoulder that says, "I know you're here and I'm glad you are." What matters is remembering that the person you married is still discovering who they are, still changing, still having thoughts and dreams and fears they need someone to share with. What matters is making them feel seen in a world that makes most of us invisible. You're making the same mistake right now, I can almost guarantee it. You're reading this while your spouse is in the next room, and you haven't had a real conversation with them in days, maybe weeks. You're postponing the trip you've been talking about for years because work is busy or money is tight, or you'll do it after the kids are older. You're scrolling through your phone during dinner instead of asking the questions that might actually reveal who your partner is becoming. You think you have time to be present later, to really connect once you finish this project or get that promotion, or retire from the job that's consuming all your energy. Your spouse is aging while you're not paying attention, and one day you'll look up and realize you're living with a stranger who used to be the person you knew best in the world. If I could talk to my 40-year-old self, I would grab him by the shoulders and tell him to put down the damn newspaper. I would tell him that Martha won't be here forever, that her voice will go silent, and her stories will end, and all he'll have left are regrets about the conversations he was too busy to have. I would tell him to ask her what she's thinking about, what she's dreaming about, what's making her smile when she stares out the kitchen window. I would tell him to take her hand when they watch television instead of sitting on opposite ends of the couch. I would tell him to plan that weekend trip she keeps mentioning and actually go, to turn off his brain about work and budgets, and just be fully present with the woman who chose him. I would tell him that providing money and showing up physically isn't the same as being a husband, that she needs him to be curious about her the way he was when they first met. I sit in our house now, surrounded by 52 years of accumulated stuff, and none of it means anything. The garage is full of tools I spent weekends organizing instead of being with Martha. The basement has boxes of paperwork from jobs that don't matter anymore. The living room has a television I stared at for thousands of hours, while the most important person in my life sat beside me feeling invisible. I would trade every possession I own for one more conversation where I actually listened, one more dinner where I asked her about her hopes instead of just passing the salt, one more morning where I noticed the way she looked at me and wondered what she was thinking. Here's what makes this even harder to accept. I'm actually closer to the man I should have been now, at 83 with Martha gone, than I was at 53 when I still had her. I notice things now. I listen when people talk. I ask questions and care about the answers. I'm finally present, finally awake, finally the person Martha needed me to be. But she's not here to experience it. The cruelest irony of life is that we often become our best selves only after we've lost the people who deserved that version of us the most. You have a choice to make right now, this very moment. You can keep living the way you're living, treating your marriage like it's a background application running while you focus on everything else, assuming your spouse will always be there waiting for you to finally pay attention. Or you can close this video, walk into whatever room they're in, and start a real conversation about something that actually matters. You can ask them a question you've never asked before. You can touch them with intention. You can look at them like they're still the most interesting person you've ever met, because they probably are if you just noticed. The clock is ticking on your marriage just like it was on mine, and you don't know how many chances you have left to get this right. I'm 83 years old, and my wife told me the truth on her deathbed. I was there, but I was never really present. Don't let this be your story. If this resonates with you, share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Leave a comment telling me what you're going to do differently starting today. Subscribe because I have more truths to share, and honestly, I don't have much time left to share them. The question that haunts me every single day is this: who are you missing while they're still right in front of you?